Hey everyone, welcome to part 4, the final part of this series of videos. So in the last video, we brought it up to step 6, where we started figuring out how much we have to pay. So we filled in our amount from the federal, from line 42,000, which was your 8543.20. You can see that here. And then we now need to figure out the provincial amount. So we scroll down to our provincial form. And again, I already have these filled in, but if you remember, if we go over to the CRA website, where we looked at the Nova Scotia 2022 income tax package, right here for the Nova Scotia tax, form NS 428. Okay, so the first step that we need to do is fill in the taxable income from line 26,000 of your return. And if you go back, you can see that line 26,000, the taxable income, is your 70,000, which was your employment income, minus off the 460.50 from the CPP enhancement. So on line 26,000 of your return, it's the 69,539.50. So you can see here as well, again, it is a progressive tax calculation system. So the amounts, though, for the provincial are different. So you have to watch. So line 1 is if the amount from your tax return, or from your amount here, your 26,000, if that is 29,590 or less, you fill it in here, and then the rate would be based on 879. If it is between your 29,590 and your 59,180, then we'd use this column, but our amount falls into the next column. So it's below 93, but above the 59. So we put it on line 1, the 69,539.50, subtract off the 59,180, which is the lower end. So then we can figure out how much of our taxable income needs to be taxed at that higher rate of 16.67%. So we've got the 10,359.50 multiplied by the 16.67%. So we're paying $1,726.93 at that higher rate, plus the amounts from the lower rates, which is the $7,024.67. So the amount of Nova Scotia tax on taxable income is $87,5160. Okay, so now we have the basic personal amount from the Nova Scotia, and it says use worksheet NS 428. So if you remember, the maximum that you can have here is your 11,481, but that includes that extra 3,000. So we need to go to the worksheet. So we're going to scroll down to the worksheet. There's the worksheet. Okay, so now we need to figure out what the basic personal amount is. So we've got the base amount, which is your 84.81. The supplement amount is your 3,000. So now you need to fill in this section here to figure out how much of the 3,000 you're entitled to. So you want line 26,000 from your return, which is the 69,539.50. Subtract the income threshold, which is 25,000, and it gives you 44,539.60. Multiply that by your 6% to give you your 2672.37. Bring that over. Subtract that from your 3,000 supplement. So it's telling you that of that 3,000 supplement, because you made so much money, you are only entitled to $327.63 of it. carried over, add that to your 8481 to give you the amount for for Samuel Pell's basic personal amount, 8808.63. So we carry that up here, which is your 8808.63 for your basic personal amount. Then we do the CPP calculation again. We have the 30, 39, 30. That comes directly from line 3800 of your return. So from your taxable or from your federal tax amount, you already figured out the CPP contribution, so you can copy the same amount to here. The same with the employment insurance premium that came from your 31,200 of your return. It's carried again here. So then you add those two together, carry them over, add that to your 8808.63 to give you $12,800.67. There's nothing here that falls into our realm, so we don't have pension income, we don't have a caregiver amount, we don't have a disability amount, so we again carry forward the $12,867. Carry that down to the next page. You don't have tuition, you don't have education amounts, you don't have interest paid on student loans. Carry down the $12,867. You don't have medical, carry down, so now you need to carry it down again. But now we're going to multiply it by 8.79%, which, going back up here, you can see, again, is at the lowest tax bracket. So when we multiply the 8.79% by the $12,800.67, we come up with the amount of $1,125.18. We don't have donation and gifts, so we carry that down, and that is the amount of our Nova Scotia non-refundable tax credits. Okay. So now that we know what our tax credits amounts are, we need to figure out what our Nova Scotia tax is. So we go back up to line 8, where we figured out the Nova Scotia tax on taxable income. So our matrix, which is 875160. We write that down, 875160. We don't have the split income. So again, this is very similar to what we just did for the federal. So we carry that down. So then we bring down our non-refundable tax credits on line 52. We don't have a dividend tax credit. We don't have a tax carryover amount. We bring that down by adding 52, 53, and 54, which still equals the 1125.18. Carry that over to line 55. Subtract that from the 8751.60 to give us 7626.42. And we carry that down, carry it down. There's no provincial foreign tax credit. We don't have any additional tax. So now we get into, we need to figure out the adjusted family income calculation for Nova Scotians at the low income tax reduction. So we need to bring our amount from line 23,600 in column 1. We'd use column 2 if we had a spouse. We again carry that amount down so that there's no other exemptions here. So we carry that over to line 66. So now, from line 60, from the previous page, okay, the 7626.42, 7626.42. So our basic reduction, so again, we're working on the low income tax reduction to see if we qualify for any of it. Carry over the 300. We don't qualify for the $300 from a spouse or from an eligible dependent because we don't have either of those. So we have our $300. We don't have dependent children. So again, we've got our $300. So now the adjusted family income, you take your amount from up here, the 66, line 66, which is your $69,539.50. We subtract our base amount of $15,000, give us $54,539.50, multiply that by 5%, gives us $2,726.98. Carry that forward. If that amount was lower than $300, we would qualify for some of this $300, which is the low income tax addition. But since we have an amount here that's higher than the $300, we don't qualify for any, so we don't get a low income tax reduction. So since it's zero, we need to bring down our $76,26.42. We don't have a political amount. We don't have a tax credit for farmers. Again, we bring down our $76,26.42. None of this qualifies for what we want. So therefore, our Nova Scotia tax is $76,26.42. So now we can carry that amount up to line 42,800 of your return. So we'll go back up to the original document, our tax return, and we were working on the refund section, refund or amount payable. Here we go. So here's your line 42,800, which is your provincial tax amount, the $76,26.42. We add those two amounts together, so our total tax payable is $16,169.62. We carry that down, enter the amount from line 142 at the previous page. Now don't forget this amount. Total income tax deducted, and that comes from all Canadian slips. So if we go over to our T4, you can see here, income tax deducted, $18,500. So that's the amount that we're putting here. We don't have any overpayments of CPP or EI or refundable medical expenses. None of that qualifies. So we've got total credits of $18,500 carried over so that it shows in this column. That is subtracted from the amount we owe. So the amount of tax that's due on our taxable income minus any of the non-refundable tax credits is $16,169.62. We've paid in $18,500, so therefore we are due a refund of $2,330.38. So we fill that in here on line 164 and then carried over here to line 48,400. And so therefore it's showing that we have this refund due to us. And that is the end of your first tax return. Hope it went well. Remember, take your time as you're completing it. Watch the additions and subtractions because those are the ones that seem to trip people up. Or when it says carried over from a previous page, don't forget to do that, okay? Thanks, everyone, and let me know if you have any questions.